Story 1. The compulsive need for instant gratification. If something doesn't work immediately or isn't providing what you want at this moment, it may seem unworthy of your time and effort. Story 2. We have become a replace it versus a fix it society. Car trouble? Rather than fixing it, we just buy a new car. If your dryer isn't working as well as it used to, instead of repairing it, we opt to buy a new one and discard the old. I firmly believe that our obsession with the newest and greatest has influenced our perception of relationships as well. Many people avoid working on their relationships and instead replace them with something new, expecting different results. Sure, some relationships may be beyond repair, but I have personally witnessed many relationships end over trivial matters, which is truly disheartening. Story 3. As someone who studied psychology and has been in therapy on and off for most of my adult life due to mental health issues, I have observed that everyone has access to therapeutic language. However, most people have no idea what it actually means or how to take accountability and admit wrongdoing. Many individuals diagnose themselves with various conditions instead of taking responsibility for their behavior. I am not against self-diagnosis, but using it as a justification or excuse to avoid growth or change is problematic. Furthermore, many people believe that all conflict equates to abuse, which is confusing and frustrating. Story 4. By social media, dating applications, and commitment issues, everyone's patience is low, and situationships are the new norm. Communication is declining, but direct messages are thriving. These are wild times. Story 5. Pornography, social media, and online dating have led to a loss of the ability to relate in real life. Story 6. Just as culture and expectations in life have changed through social media and other influences, both the average person and the typical individual believe they can outperform each other for no valid reason. Story 7. Maturity, lack of firm non-negotiable boundaries, and avoidance of topics that need to be addressed before being 1 to 2 years in are important considerations. Story 8. Several factors contribute to relationship challenges. Social media, for one, has influenced expectations. Many individuals have an unrealistic belief that their partner should be flawless. If they are not, it's deemed unacceptable. The term red flag is now used so broadly that almost anything can be categorized as one. Additionally, many people seek a relationship that requires no effort, akin to a turnkey house. When issues arise, instead of addressing them, they abandon the relationship. There is often a complete lack of effort and communication. Story 9. The lack of personal accountability is concerning. You can hold any beliefs you wish, but if you cannot take responsibility for your actions, then you are not valuable to have around. Story 10. I think a lot of people nowadays view relationships as disposable. If they don't like a person, they get a new one. People no longer want to put in the effort or work required for relationships, romantic or otherwise. Story 11. Pornography and the average child encountering it at a prepubescent age can be addictive and hinder cognitive development early on. Story 12. We see many fabricated videos showcasing statements such as, "Look what my partner did for me," and "never settle for less," which make viewers feel that their relationships are not adequate. While it is valid to desire certain qualities in a partner and to have non-negotiables in relationships, comparison truly is the thief of joy. This content influences consumers, leading them to believe that every relationship should conform to these unrealistic standards. Story 13. Refusal to communicate, along with the expectation that a lifelong relationship does not come with struggle and effort. Story 14. Relationships can be positive when you aren't dealing with someone who constantly complains and brings negativity into your life. Story 15. Unhealed trauma and a lack of motivation to address it make it easier to jump from relationship to relationship, searching for someone who will accept your struggles instead of having the courage to confront the issues and resolve them. Speaking from personal experience, I have witnessed my own journey through this. It's truly a direct blow to one's sense of self. Story 16:1. Unrealistic expectations coupled with a willingness to give up when things get tough. 1. People these days often do not understand the importance of marriage vows. Those vows actually mean something. They are not just words. In sickness and in health, for richer or poorer, that commitment is important. Often, people want things to be their way and do not seem to grasp that in an important relationship it is essential to compromise and not stand on principle. Of course, if you truly love someone, this is not hard to do. It even comes naturally. Bottom line, it is best to become an adult before getting married. This is not a function of chronological age but relates to how a person interacts with others and how they deal with life in general. Using social networks can be detrimental to a committed relationship. It is far too easy to see, communicate with, and end up with someone other than your spouse. Of course, only low-quality individuals get caught up in such messes, but there are many low-quality people out there. I would say a significant portion of the population falls into this category now. There is a movie called Newness that deals with this scenario, and it is well worth watching. Story 17. Entitlement and lack of accountability are prevalent. Everyone desires instant gratification and wants to be correct, but few can accept being told they are wrong. Story 18. I work in mental wellness. Dependence on pornography and instant gratification in general is a significant problem. Story 19. Dating applications offer little motivation for long-term commitment. There is no need to resolve issues. You can simply ignore someone and move on to another match. Story 20. I identify as Aroace, so I may not be the best person to discuss relationships. However, I have noticed that communication often gets lost between people, and without communication, relationships can fail. It is essential to have an understanding of one another, and some individuals may need to adjust their expectations. These are observations I've made within my family, but they are not the only factors. Many other issues can damage relationships for people. Story 21. Pornography easily provides a high of dopamine without requiring effort. Many men find it easier to engage in sexual acts than to make an effort to understand women and treat them as fellow humans rather than objects. Additionally, pornography fosters a distorted perception of women and relationships in general, including fetishes involving stepsisters, teachers, and others. Story 22. A serious lack of real-life social interaction and the understanding of dependencies as human beings is evident. Personal fulfillment takes precedence today, with not compromising following closely behind. Next on the list is the inability to engage in proper discourse. Instead of addressing issues, it seems easier to leave or cancel the opposing party. The concept of ride or die appears to dominate the current landscape. Partners are evaluated based on income, job status, and reproductive potential. If any of these factors are not optimal, it's better not to get involved at all. Then there are the life goals. With everyone focusing solely on self-enhancement, there is little room for others. Why would anyone consider partnerships when one can simply use sperm banks and other means? There is no need to confront difficult situations or relinquish control over every decision. Eventually, they find themselves burned out, and nobody is interested in someone at that stage. Story 23. People take breaking up and finding someone new too easily. It hinders them from putting in real effort. Story 24. Snapchat and superficial, momentary desires are overshadowing our true needs, time, and growth. Infidelity. Story 25. Social media is influential. People often develop one-sided relationships with individuals they barely know, and some may consider this behavior normal. Story 26. The problem is the availability of the internet, enabling people to communicate with others far away instead of talking to someone in the same room. Those nearby cannot compete with celebrities from around the world. Story 27. Social media and parasocial relationships have common pitfalls. Many people crave connection, but it often feels insincere. My 15-year-old is currently experiencing some of these issues, and I have restricted most of her social media usage because of this. Story 28. Unwillingness to compromise. Many people believe that if they have to give up anything, no matter how small, then the other person is toxic and controlling. Story 29. What is ruining relationships? The ability to connect literally with almost everyone while having an inability to meaningfully connect figuratively with anyone. I have a few ideas on why the above happens. The movie Surrogates is a good place to start. Story 30. A new generation believes they are wonderful and relies on their grandparents to pay for their living expenses and international trips, despite not having jobs or education beyond a general educational development certificate. Story 31. The internet has transformed society, not just through social networks but also by providing free access to adult content, facilitating the exchange of often trivial opinions, and spreading misinformation about women, science, and economics. It has created a generation of individuals who struggle to engage with reality. People's conflicting ideologies and sometimes aggressive or hateful online personas make them difficult to date. Furthermore, with the internet offering infinite choices, it becomes challenging to make a single decision and commit to it. This abundance of niche interests can prevent individuals from finding someone who shares their unique obsessions. Story 32. Well, pornography and its derivatives, such as OnlyFans, along with the fact that nowadays people do not commit, make it more convenient to ghost others and replace them rather than putting in the effort to communicate and resolve issues in a relationship. Story 33. Economic pressures. The primary reasons people break up and are not forming relationships or starting families, according to scientific studies, are a lack of affordable housing, insufficient time off, and limited flexibility in life plans. While social media has negative effects, financial factors and affordability are the most significant issues. Story 34. We can't say it because they will get offended, and it will spark a whole new debate. Communication is one of the phrases I hear the most. Story 35. Lack of communication is a recurring issue. In today's world, people often avoid discussing their feelings and desires in relationships, choosing instead to disengage and seek something else if it becomes overwhelming. No relationship can thrive without addressing the pain that may arise. Story 36. Choice and opportunity are to blame for the effects of social media and dating applications. Everyone is constantly looking for the next best thing, treating people like objects and having multiple opportunities to cheat or be deceptive. These applications even include settings that allow users to hide chats, encouraging behaviors that discourage users from stopping. I may sound bitter, but this is my honest opinion. Story 37. I argue that dating apps have made people feel as if there are infinite options available. When relationship troubles arise, the first thought is to leave because there are numerous potential better options. Story 38. The availability of alternatives. If someone has a certain flaw, they will find someone else who does not have that flaw. They complain that there is no one out there for them. Then the cycle continues. Story 39. Dating apps and the internet present so many options that it creates the impression of a perfect match. As soon as a partner or potential partner does something that does not align with our expectations, we often end the relationship and return to the apps in search of that ideal partner. There is little motivation to work through imperfections in relationships. Why invest effort in fixing a relationship when we believe there is someone out there who will make it effortless and like a fairy tale? We have little patience or tolerance for any level of incompatibility or differences, largely because we have access to countless alternatives to choose from. Story 40. The more things change, the more they remain the same. The issues that have been damaging relationships throughout human history have simply intensified and accelerated due to internet access. Self-awareness is difficult to teach in schools, so I do not expect improvements. Story 41. Pure pressure to be in a relationship immediately is common. It's as if people feel compelled to start families right away. However, a healthy relationship requires understanding how to minimize conflicts and resolve issues effectively. All relationships are inherently complicated. Story 42. I think culture is a significant part of it. You've heard the phrase, the past is a different country. And it's true. It's also true that the younger generation of men aged 20 to 30, who are increasingly giving up on dating, are the same group that is pursuing older women or becoming passport brothers. Decreasing testosterone levels are also a factor. There's simply less desire. Dating has always required a lot of time, effort, rejection, and money for men. The desire for physical intimacy was a major motivator for men to invest the effort and take the risks that lead to relationships. Finally, online dating and social media have changed the landscape. In the past, people typically dated within their community. When the most attractive men were unavailable, average men had a chance. Now, the dating pool is larger, and many women are pursuing the top men while the bottom 80% struggle. The successful men do not want to settle down and typically only pursue one woman when they do, leaving others feeling demoralized and walking away. Story 43. I think everyone is fixating on the negative aspects of life. It resembles how society views conditions like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and autism. Many believe their partners are unsupportive or abusive. In the dating world, people are not putting their best foot forward. Women are talking to numerous men, while men are often trying to lure women into relationships for harmful purposes. There seems to be a complete lack of calmness. We are expending so much energy focusing on how bad everything could be or how we perceive it as bad, that we are missing out on what we actually want. Story 44. There doesn't seem to be a willingness in the public mindset to work together in relationships, which widens the gap between couples who have figured it out and single people seeking their other half. Why not collaborate? There is an impression that people can be easily replaced. Story 45. Truthfully, I believe the idea that relationships require hard work is damaging them today. Whoever popularized that notion should be held accountable. Additionally, desperation plays a significant role. People often stay with someone they once found attractive and attempt to make the relationship work instead of letting it go. Why? To avoid being alone with their thoughts for even a week. Stop trying to fix that unworkable situation. Just let it go. Story 46. Social media often features posts suggesting that if your partner is not messaging you, they may be unfaithful, or if your relationship has challenges, it is deemed toxic. These messages contribute to unrealistic perceptions of relationships, which can be detrimental. Story 47. Social media and dating applications have made people acutely aware of the many options available, leading to unrealistic beliefs about what they deserve. Many individuals have high expectations and are often unwilling to focus on one person at a time. People desire to date multiple individuals to find the best available option, but this approach is unhealthy and unsustainable. The combination of fear of missing out, unrealistic expectations, and an inflated sense of self-worth often results in shallow relationships or complete disengagement from dating. Story 48. Having 80% of what you want in a relationship but seeking that 20% elsewhere due to comparisons on social media. Story 49. I believe a significant portion of this issue is that it was much harder for women to exist unmarried in the United States. Women could not even obtain a loan in the United States without a man until 1974. Many married couples would not get a divorce under any circumstances, no matter how much they despised each other. However, it is now more acceptable to prioritize personal happiness over a legal certificate. Story 50. Dating applications have long been the primary way to meet potential romantic partners through mutual acquaintances. However, people now primarily use apps to connect. Having used these applications for some time, I find them to be a poor way to meet people, and many struggle with this type of interaction. Story 51. Economics. Jobs and accommodation are more short-term than ever. Self-sufficiency is emphasized despite our nature as social beings. Advertising captures our attention with the promise of improvement through consumerism. Convenient delivery services reduce our need to interact with others. We constantly compare our material possessions on social media, leading to unrealistic expectations of relationships due to pornography. Story 52. People's inability to be alone or their fear of solitude leads to relationship hopping without allowing themselves time to be single and decompress, or heal if necessary, from their last relationship. They do not process the baggage from that breakup and instead bring it all, fresh and unresolved, into their new relationships, repeating this cycle while wondering why none of their relationships have succeeded. Story 53. Ridiculous expectations from people who are not ready to date do not align with reality. There is a lack of self-awareness and accountability. Many individuals are comfortable being selfish and do not reflect on the effect they have on those around them. Additionally, many people play the victim narrative. You can either try to fix the problem, or if it is too far gone, you have to leave. Story 54. Too much choice. People could have the most perfect person for them right in front of them, but they will always be thinking about the other possibilities available to them. Story 55. Misogynistic and immature men who are not developed enough for a relationship unjustly demand the types of women they neither deserve nor will ever be with. Story 56. In my opinion, it's the other side of the coin that is the internet. Decades ago, you interacted with your neighbor because they lived next door. If you didn't like them, you accepted it and learned to live and let live. You made your friends, from childhood through adulthood, based on chance and circumstance of location. Personality clashes, tough luck, learn to cope. They're called social skills for a reason. Now you socialize online. Don't like someone? Block them. Have an unpopular opinion? Find the chat room or forum for that topic and immerse yourself in the echo chamber. You literally search for what you want rather than what you need. The search engine does what it's supposed to do. Flat Earth? Absolutely. If your mind is built in a palace of plenty, it never learns the skills to acquire or maintain. Is your relationship not working out? Why try to work it out when your whole life has taught you to just hit the search bar for another option? The internet is great, but it can also be terrible. Just like humanity. That's my 2 cents. Story 57. I believe people approach arguments and disagreements incorrectly. They often come from a place of defensiveness and a desire to be heard rather than actively listening and striving to understand the issue at hand. The saying, you and me versus the problem, not us against each other, comes to mind every time. It's concerning that we are quick to adopt a victim mentality instead of collaborating as partners to achieve the goal of loving each other properly. Story 58. Comparison is the thief of joy. Most of us now spend excessive time on devices that enable constant self-comparison. Story 59. Lack of funds or time for dating is a challenge for many people, including myself. Story 60. It is the internet to me. It causes you to start seeing people as less valuable and easily replaceable. Story 61. People today want first dates to be instantly gratifying and perfect. However, relationships require space for a little awkwardness, patience, and time to grow into something meaningful. Story 62. The illusion of choice. We see thousands of people on dating apps and think we can easily discard someone if they're not perfect because there are so many options available. Surely, there's one out there who is our ideal match. Lack of communication skills. We spend so much time looking at our phones that we have lost valuable opportunities to build social skills. When was the last time you chatted with someone at the supermarket or your neighbor just for the sake of conversation? We've created a culture of avoiding people at all costs. Narcissism and selfishness. This goes hand in hand with the previous point. We don't know how to compromise anymore. Everything revolves around ourselves, and that doesn't work when trying to build a relationship. Expectations are too high. This is largely influenced by social media. The adult and romance genres distort our expectations of the dating pool. Average individuals expect to date social media stars, while women hope to be swept off their feet by someone who looks like a fairy tale prince. Let's be honest. Most of us are imperfect in our own ways. There may be more issues, but that covers the main points. Story 63. Mostly, I blame capitalism. Pretty much everyone I know is working more, sleeping less, dealing with health problems, theirs or their families, and often just making ends meet. With little free time, high tension, and little money, it's very difficult to find and maintain a relationship. Story 64. Social media constantly glorifies having options as something to brag about. However, having a large roster of relationships shows a lack of emotional intelligence and maturity. There is also a promotion of not settling for less. He is not a bad boyfriend for not getting you a gift basket for a random holiday. You shouldn't end a relationship simply because your friends find him unattractive. After an argument or disagreement, instead of seeking a new partner, work through the issues and communicate. Story 65. Social anxiety seems to impact teenagers and younger people who aren't going out to socialize or take chances to have fun together. Friend groups primarily exist online, either through video games or social media, which limits opportunities to mingle with others and meet potential romantic partners. There is no single answer to this issue. Many factors contribute to it. I believe this is just one of them. Story 66. Expectations. You have no right to set expectations for another adult who is your equal. If you cannot love and accept someone as they are right now, then do not date that person. It is as simple as that. Relationships require gratitude to thrive, especially in the long term. You cannot be grateful for anything you expect or feel entitled to. Story 67. Back then, people were limited to those in their towns for finding a partner. Now, if you look at an average girl's direct messages, she is bombarded by men of all types. Why would she settle down when she has so many options? If the current guy you are talking to gave you a bad impression when he said something strange, no problem. Just ghost him and move on to the next one. Story 68. Regarding the newer version, I don't really understand it. I'm 40, and yes, younger men can be fun to look at. However, I have no desire to be a cougar. Why bother? It took a long time to help my husband reach a comfortable level of understanding. I don't want to take on the role of a caregiver to a young, inexperienced man. Story 69. Kids today don't know what grass feels like or what dirt smells like. They date on phone applications and choose whatever is shiniest. Story 71. Everything is disposable, including relationships, so people don't put in the effort to fix them. They just move on. There is too much focus on the immediate future, causing people to prioritize the enjoyment or pain a relationship brings at that moment. Many individuals are more concerned about their own wants and needs. This trend affects not only interpersonal relationships but society as a whole. Story 71. Social media and lack of communication are significant issues. I am 23, so feel free to tell me to mind my own business, but I have been in a long-term relationship for almost 6 years, and we have had only one argument. We have had disagreements, but they have never escalated. We talked about them instead because many people in my generation avoid discussing their issues. My brother faces a similar problem. When he tries to communicate about an issue with his girlfriend, she often gets angry, cries, or accuses him of not loving her when he wants to do something for himself. I am not dismissing her feelings completely, but it is becoming excessive. Social media also portrays a toxic image. While some videos and posts are justified, most are harmful. Younger people are still navigating the world and discovering themselves, and they are impressionable. For instance, when a girl smashes her boyfriend's console because he won't stop playing, it gives the impression that such behavior is normal. Couples often do not communicate with each other like adults in a calm manner. I'm not advocating for debates, but each side should feel comfortable expressing their valid opinions. What is not acceptable is consistently dismissing those opinions in the pursuit of being right. More couples would thrive if communication and boundaries were discussed more openly. Story 72. Most of Generation Z, in my opinion, struggles with emotional maturity. Maintaining a relationship takes real effort and constant awareness of your partner's feelings. From my experience, my 2 breakups taught me that when you stop putting in your best effort, you are essentially setting the relationship up to fail. With my girlfriend of 2 years, I have constantly reminded myself that if I want to keep this amazing person in my life, I need to always try my best for her. It's not just about grand gestures or big moments. It's the small, everyday choices that keep a relationship strong. Checking in, communicating openly, and actually listening instead of just waiting to respond all make a significant difference. Many people assume love should be effortless, but the truth is that even the best relationships require work. When one or both people stop trying, resentment and distance begin to creep in. That's what I learned the hard way, and now I understand that staying emotionally present is just as important as any other aspect of a relationship. Story 73. It is perfectly normal to date multiple people unless you have explicitly declared that you are exclusive. Story 74. Fears of divorce for men regarding child support and financial splits can be severe. The same can be said for women. Divorce often leads to poverty for both genders. Hustle culture tends to be distorted regarding hours worked and priorities. While we are connected, options are always available. If a woman is fed up with her husband, she can leave at a moment's notice, and the same applies to men. Story 75. Everyone is comparing their entire lives to the highlights of others on Instagram. Unrealistic expectations regarding money, travel, and luxurious living, along with false physical ideals, contribute to the mental health issues faced by many. A significant percentage of people feel dissatisfied with their lives and relationships because they no longer understand the difference between reality and fiction. Story 76. Planned destabilization of the West and everything that provides stability. Faith, family, values, and unity. Story 77. A good friend openly told people she is leaving her husband because he voted for Trump. They had been trying for a child for years. A couple of years ago, she had to have an abortion because the baby was missing some crucial organs and development early on. They had been doing all they could with fertility treatments. With Trump's Project 2025 and his views on abortion and clear lack of attention to childcare, she had a very strong anti-Trump stance, rightfully so. Story 78. The possibility of finding a better match is much more prevalent due to dating apps. This is especially true for women, who often receive attention from every average and below average guy. The very small percentage of males receiving attention leads them to believe they have a wide variety of options. In my gym's parking lot, there are Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and an expensive Corvette. However, I have yet to see a pair of panties with a phone number under the wiper blades, or any contact number at all. Story 79. A lack of religion. I am not a big believer in religion, but it is obvious that a coherent moral structure is missing in today's society. People in my circle engage in casual relationships without regard for consequences, and then criticize others for their choices. Men often demean women for having multiple partners while claiming they would never marry someone with a high body count. Women tend to pursue romantic encounters without commitment as well. Those who do not fit this mold struggle to find meaningful connections on dating apps. Both men and women then wonder why they cannot find a stable, normal relationship. They may say, "I just had an encounter with someone I met at the bar. I don't understand why I can't find a serious relationship that feels meaningful." Story 80. There are numerous factors affecting relationships. Social media, addiction to pornography or sex, immaturity, resentment towards attractive individuals, substance abuse, and other personal issues contribute to this. On a societal level, the rising cost of living while wages remain stagnant impacts dating trends, leading to more non-committal relationships and decreased family planning. Story 81. Smartphones and the millions of applications are replacing human interaction, social skills, and critical thinking. People are starting to lack basic communication skills, such as the ability to read facial and body language. Story 82. Not being able to agree to disagree on topics, settle things peacefully, and find beauty in differences is challenging. It is all about our connection until you prefer chocolate over strawberry, and now I feel a disconnect. Story 83. Too many shadows, whispering voices. Faces on posters, too many choices. If, when, why, what, how much have you got? Have you got it? Do you get it? So, how often? Which do you choose? Story 84. Superficiality. I don't want to wear makeup. Causes breakouts, irritates my eyes, and needs to be reapplied every few hours. I wish I could be seen as pretty without it. I'm 28 and am starting to think that some men are so shallow I may never know what it feels like to be loved. Story 85. Social media and online dating marketing have led to a culture where developing actual relationships is sidelined for casual encounters. This is what I have observed. Although I haven't used online dating myself, I find that even in friendships, interactions often fall short. We agree to meet for coffee yet end up staring at our phones instead of engaging in conversation. Consequently, dating may be even worse in terms of lacking meaningful communication. Story 86. Social media is influencing how both men and women perceive each other, and unfortunately, they often view one another as adversaries. Story 87. Young men and women have become extremely unattractive to each other as society has molded them into one creature. There used to be mystique in the opposite sex. Now everyone feels like a friend. Story 88. Social media, dating applications, unhealthy amounts of pornography consumption, and the aversion to therapy that many people seem to have are all contributing factors. No one seems to care about love anymore, as it is much easier to move on to someone else rather than invest emotionally in one person and build each other up together. The internet has made people superficial and selfish. It's all about instant gratification now. Story 89. Hookup culture with a touch of pornography. As a man, I cannot be bothered to talk to women who boast about Tinder dates or being showered with gifts and praise while having earned no respect or money in the real world. There are some amazing women out there, but in my experience, most of them are taken and are fortunate to have someone who appreciates them. It is hard to believe that some men would rather wait to engage in sexual relationships or commit to any meaningful relationship because past experiences often suggest they are not enough or are easily replaceable. Imagine if I told my dog I would replace her because she did something wrong. Story 90. The lack of loyalty between both genders, pursuing wealth instead of genuine connections, pornography addictions, and men's unrealistic beauty standards. Story 91. Monogamy. Humans are not monogamous, which is why open relationships are becoming mainstream. Story 92. Social media can be addictive and mind-numbing, turning us into zombies. While I use platforms like Reddit, I also employ healthy coping strategies such as deep breathing and meditation to manage the stress from social media. I have been on a journey to recover from severe anxiety that developed after a car accident 23 years ago. Since starting treatment in 2024, I have made significant progress. I have personally witnessed how unmanaged stress can transform into debilitating anxiety and the profound impact it can have on a person. Story 93. It's society in general. People go online to showcase their lives, believing they are the main character when, in reality, they are just non-playable characters. This hookup culture is very disappointing. Some girls feel entitled yet rely on artificial enhancements like fake breasts, fake nails, fake hair, makeup, and filters, while still wanting a genuine partner. As for guys, many strive to act like conquerors by pursuing any opportunity that comes their way. They discuss sports, drink beer, and drive flashy cars. I refer to these individuals as peacocks for a double meaning. Many are not satisfied with themselves, chasing the fear of missing out and waiting for someone else to do the work of self-improvement. We find ourselves in a metaphorical land of misfit toys. Story 94. Broken finances, flawed economics, apathy, government corruption destroying society, feminism, social media, challenging divorce and family laws, and a struggling job market. Story 95. Women believe that men should earn over $100,000 to engage in conversation with them, while men expect women to be intimate on the first few dates. Story 96. Phones and social media have significant effects on social interactions. Lockdowns contributed to poor food choices, a sedentary lifestyle, and increased consumption of video games and adult content. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.